Hello, I am Chief Warrant Officer for LaTonya Pettigrew, the Army Reserve Medical Command Senior Warrant Officer Advisor to the Commanding General, Command Chief Warrant Officer, and Master Resiliency Trainer. I'm also one of the few USARC Master Resiliency Training Facilitators. Welcome to AR-MEDCOM's Connect to Protect, conversations with members of our command team about maintaining resilience and seeking out and helping our comrades in our formations who are contemplating inflicting harm upon themselves. In this video, you will be sitting in on a conversation between Mr. Joe Walser, AR-MEDCOM's Suicide Prevention Programs Manager, who went to Ware, New Hampshire to visit with Command Sergeant Major John Hilton, the Senior Enlisted Advisor to our Commanding General. As the Command Sergeant Major is talking, I'd like for you to listen for his specific resiliency challenges and the resiliency skills he used to overcome those challenges. Look for how the Command Sergeant Major relied on his strength of character, even as he was overwhelmed by multiple activating events. In those moments, he demonstrated both self-control and self-regulation. When he talks about inflicting harm upon himself, see how he took a pragmatic look and assessed his positive contributions to the people he loves and who love him. This is called Put It in Perspective, or PIIP. To work through the activating events and the subsequent thought themes, the Command Sergeant Major also practiced responsive journaling as his consequential actions to such triggering events. Some of what you are going to hear is going to surprise you, as the Command Sergeant Major shares the most difficult moments of his life and his own ideations that would have led to ending that life. Don't ignore his example and be ready to open yourself to your soldiers, to be the leader whose soldiers can approach as well. And now, here is the first in our series of Connect to Protect conversations with Command Sergeant Major John Hilton.
This is Joe Walser, Director of Suicide Prevention Programs at the Army Reserve Medical Command. I went to visit our Command Sergeant Major John Hilton at his Ware, New Hampshire home for a conversation about how to help soldiers struggling with suicidal thoughts.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yes, sir. We have soldiers out there that might very well this very day be thinking about taking their own life, who may be thinking of standing up and walking into that fire. Tell me about your experience with a suicide ideation in your own life and how that felt.
I had a really big challenge to overcome. I had a 2-year stretch that was very, very bad. It was right after I got back from Iraq. Well, actually, it was on the way back from Iraq. I had just spent a year on Route Irish in the middle of Baghdad during the surge. I get the call that my stepfather, who has been with me the majority of my life, he passes away while I'm in Kuwait on the way home. 2 days after I get home, I'm at the funeral. 2 days after that, my wife drops a divorce on me. A few months later, divorce court tells me I got to be out on Father's Day. I think they have a sense of humor. That was a challenge. And then over the next 18 months, I lost my one and only brother to Huntington's disease, and my stepson, who I had been with almost his entire life, passed away as well. It was after my brother had died that was like the straw that was gonna break the camel's back. I was burnt and brush. I was just sitting there. Alcohol wasn't involved, and I thought about walking in the bonfire. I had suicidal ideations more than a couple times over that 2-year period. And I realized then one of the best things you can do is to start caring about others. And it gets your mind off yourself and all the things that are going on. But it was part of that pragmatic, look, I went 30 or 40 feet above myself in the air. That's when I had realized that I still got my mom. I still got my daughter.
Give me a few verbs when you felt like, or adjectives that describe how you felt.
Yeah. hopeless. At the end. Helpless, yes. Yep. Yeah. I use the analogy, and they talk about getting into that downward spiral, and you're in a boat going on the sea of life, massive waves over that two-year period for me. And, a couple times there's a maelstrom, a whirlpool, and you are literally going towards the edge into that downward spiral. But yeah, you think about, for me, I thought of others.
There's got to be some skills, some problem-solving skills, and ways that you have navigated in your own experience with resilience. Can you share those with our folks?
One was, I realized that whatever you have up here needs to get out, right? And I'm not in uniform. I'm a very introverted person. So I didn't want to talk to anybody, but I had to get it out. So I kept a journal. I wrote in it every day. There's a lot of swear words in there, along with other things, because you have to get your thoughts out. Yeah. And I still got the book up in the attic in one of the foot lockers. So there's that. You have to unleash all the physical feelings, pent up. Because at some point, you start thinking these thoughts that this has got to be somebody's fault. I didn't do anything wrong. Why is all of this happened to me? And sometimes you just feel like choking someone out, hurting someone else. So I hit the gym sometimes twice a day.
Physical fitness.
You can't dwell on the bad. After a while, you realize bad things happen to good people. And life is what it is, oftentimes in spite of putting your best efforts forth. But that's okay. At some point, you have to be pragmatic. So I remember, I think it was 1990 or 89, they were talking about leadership, right? And there were 4 factors of leadership, and I still remember this to this day: the leader, the led, situation, and communication. It's almost like emotional intelligence before emotional intelligence was a thing. And so that's kind of self-explanatory, but the small group leader I had, he explained it like this: when you look at who you are as a person, you look at who you're leading, the situation that came before and presently, all those are taken into account before you communicate and actually do the act of leading. It's the same in situations like this. So put yourself figuratively, but almost literally, about 30 feet above yourself, like you're floating in the air, so you can see the big picture.
What do you want to say to that soldier who's thinking about taking their own life?
I'm of the firm belief that everybody has the power and the ability to cope with whatever is thrown their way. They may not know it yet, but soldiers, people in general, have to deal with whatever is happening in their own way. A lot of what is taught to us in the Army, the fact that they made it through basic training,
Right, tells you something, doesn't it?
It definitely tells us something, that they are able to get through hard times. And I just say they have the ability to do it. Our challenge is oftentimes we don't know who's going through that.
That's right.
Because either we're not looking,
Or they're hiding in plain sight.
we don't know how to look.
Yep.
They're hiding in plain sight, and they're putting on their best face because they don't want anybody else to know. We can't protect if we don't connect, because a lot of times that's not that visible. It's when it goes radio silent.
You're in trouble.
That's when a Red Star cluster needs to go up. If a unit has a culture that allows a soldier to be able to come up on that and say something without fear of getting made fun of or reprisal or retribution, anything like that. That sets the stage for change to happen.
CSM, even beyond expectations, your vulnerability and going into some difficult places, sharing with us your own stories, your own challenges, your own problem solving, your own work with resilience was amazing. Thank you again for having us here. And I know it's going to benefit our soldiers. Thank you so much.
Sure. Thanks, Joe. And, thanks to you and the team for coming up here. Sorry I couldn't do more for the weather for you coming from Florida. But this is so important that it needs to happen. There's a lot of soldiers out there that may be suffering in silence. So again, thanks for making this a priority. Thanks for coming up.
Thank you for joining us for this Connect to Protect conversation with AR-MEDCOM Command Sergeant Major John Hilton. I hope you recognized when the Command Sergeant Major was discussing his trigger points, and more importantly, how he recognized them himself and used coping skills to come out on the other side of crisis events. Life will happen to everyone. As the Command Sergeant Major stated, at times, bad things happen to good people. Serving our country is such an honorable sign of your resiliency abilities and strength of character. Therefore, I invite you to take a deeper dive into the Army's Master Resiliency Program to strengthen your ability to bounce back when working through diversely difficult situations. If you or your command would like additional training, please contact me via Global. For the Army Reserve Medical Command, this is Chief Warrant Officer 4, LaTonya Pettigrew. Warrior Medics, combat ready.